Okay, we're going to be talking about, because we've talked about changes in demand and demand shifts. We've talked about changes in supply and supply shifts. Now we're going to put things together and we're going to put supply and demand together, okay? So you can see the demand curve here is downward sloping. You can see the supply curve here is upward sloping. Now, where those two things meet, we call this the equilibrium. Okay, this is our equilibrium. This is where the force of supply and the force of demand hit, and where these two things hit create this kind of balance in each market. Now that balance doesn't stay balanced forever. They are constantly moving, but this is our equilibrium point. And if you take this point and go straight down to the x-axis, we label that Q sub E for quantity equilibrium. And we go straight over the y-axis and we label that P sub E for price equilibrium. So whenever we have a supply curve hitting a demand curve, then we say that that market is in equilibrium. Equilibrium means in balance, okay? Now, we worked on reasons why the demand curve shifts and reasons why the supply curve shifts. Well, none of that changes when we put supply and demand together. The only thing that changes is now we're able to actually see what happens to price and what happens to quantity when we have those changes. And again, you can see here I have our regions for demand change in income, change in number of consumers, change in taste, change in the price of a substitute good, change in the price of a complementary good, and change in the price of future expectations or a future price. And then on the supply side, right, we have changes in technology, changes in human capital, changes in productivity, changes in government policy, changes in input cost, and changes in the number of producers. So, before we knew it was going to be demand change, we were doing demand, we knew it was going to be supply change, we were doing supply, but now we're not going to really know. We're going to see the scenario and figure out which ones are going to be and how that's going to change our market. And this is total real world stuff that happens every minute of every day, everywhere you spend money, okay? This is explaining why prices go up or down, why quantity goes up or down, why we have, as we talked about before, surpluses. I said we're going to talk about surpluses and shortages, price floors and price ceilings. All of these things that happen in every place you shop, every place, every online thing, everything you do is dealt with by these forces of supply and demand in our market economy. And understanding it allows you guys to be able to make better decisions and to make better predictions and to understand why things happen and to understand that many politicians do things that don't make sense. And when we get into macroeconomics, we'll see that even more, where you have politicians, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, kind of doing things that sound good early but have bad repercussions later, like many of your parents have told you. Sometimes the popular decision and isn't always the best decision, and that happens a lot when we get to macroeconomics and the decisions they make. But now I want to focus on how we do this just in regular markets, right? Microeconomics, it's about markets. It's about supplying and demanding in markets. And so here is a market, and we'll say that this is the we'll say this is the market for candles. This is our candle market, okay? So if this is our candle market and something happens, and let's say our scenario is that the price of wax goes up. There's an increase in the price of wax. So now we got to think, okay, is this a supply issue or does this be a demand issue? Will this affect firms first or will this affect consumers first? Because it's going to affect both of them. What we got to figure out is who's being affected first and then how does that play out in the markets. So, as you probably know, wax goes into making candles. It is an input cost. Now, you might say, well, isn't it a complementary good because it goes along with it? It's not, because you don't have a candle with a side of wax, right? Wax is making up what we're burning in candles, so it is an input cost. So if wax gets more expensive, that's going to be, as you should know, a problem for firms that make candles. So it will be an increased input cost, which would move the supply curve to the left. And so we know that's a decrease in the supply curve, right? It's a decrease in supply. So we know that. Well, now let's see what happens as a result of this change. you can see now this is our new equilibrium where the demand curve has a new, is meeting a new supply curve. So this new supply curve meets the demand curve. This becomes our new equilibrium, right? It was, let's say, point A, but with this new supply curve, because of a new scenario, because of a new reality, we have this new equilibrium. We'll call this point B. Well, so you can see it moves along the curve, which we go directly over to the y-axis. We'll label it P sub 1. We can see the price actually went up, right? And we can also go directly down to the x-axis. We'll call that Q sub 1. And we can see that we have less quantity with a higher price because of a decrease in the change of supply due to a change in input costs. All right? So this is an example of how we're going to be looking at markets. In this case, it's the candle market, and how we're going to be looking at our reasons for demand or our reasons for supply, figuring out which one it is, and then seeing what's going to happen on this graph, and then being able to analyze what's going to happen to price and what's going to happen to quantity. And this is going to help us understanding that will help us understand other issues. Okay, well, if the candles go up in price, what's going to be happening to the demand for its substitute goods? What's going to be happening if the price of wax goes up? How will it affect Christmas shopping, right? How will it affect, seasonal changes? When people go buy, like pumpkin spice candles or, Christmas candles or, I don't know, spring candle, whatever. This is going to affect lots of people. So if you understand the price of wax goes up or the cost of doing goods goes up, then you can understand what's going to happening in all these other markets. And it's a really great skill to have you can apply the rest of your life. I'm going to make several more videos where I just give you examples and we do a bunch of these, and then you're going to do an insane amount of practice on your own so you guys can get good at this, because it's a huge skill to have, not just in this class, but also just in life, being able to understand how markets work. Okay?